Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. That is Charlie Hotel Golf Oscar, if we're going with the call-outs there.
Wow.
So shout out to that. I'm Sean Anderson. I'm your host. Apparently, I know that. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me is Vinnie Duber, the man with the mustache. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. And, of course, the man in the middle, the leader of our CHGO White Sox beat.
That's enough.
Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. You can follow us on Twitter at CHGO_sports. That's where we are broadcasting from, the CHGO studios here in the West Loop. And you can follow us on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox. Boys, let's get into the big news. People are waiting for it. We're waiting for it. The deadline for the MLB and the MLBPA was set at 2 p.m. for an agreement on the CBA to ratify an agreement. You know, we've heard 2-yard line that they've been on, which why not use a baseball reference? And now we're hearing that things are hitting a snag. It is convoluted. It's messy. It's baseball. The icebreaker is basically, I mean, how do you feel right now? I mean, I know that a lot of people are feeling anxious. A lot of people are feeling like they are close. And now I know it just feels like a kind of someone died over there with the Cubs beat. Everyone's gone quiet. It's a very weird feeling right now. People want baseball back. People are anxious to have baseball back. Do you feel like it's close, Vinny? Do you feel like Phoenix is in your future?
I feel like I've seen this movie before,
right?
Pretty recently at that. This seems to happen once a week now, right? Everybody gets really excited that this is it, and then it's not it. So we'll see. Obviously, like you said, we're still awaiting the news. We're still waiting to see what happened. We were busy doing math before the show started, which was a terrible idea. But we'll see what happens. It's right now. It's really like wake me up when it's over kind of thing, because. And that's not even me talking about, any frustration or any, being mad at the parties or anything like that. It's just like we don't know what the answer is. Mm-hmm. And so when I say wake me up when it's over, I mean, tell me when there's an answer. Tell me when there's news, so it's not just like, how are we feeling today? Like, right. we don't know. We have nothing to base that on. Tell me when there's something to base that on.
It's 2:04 right now. The deadline was 2 p.m. So, I mean, the deadline has passed and there's no deal done. So, I mean, I guess you should feel bad. I mean, that's the only thing I could put it to. Herb, we did the math. We're pretty sure that 20 votes from the team needs to be approved for the CBA. So there's 38 votes in total. They need 2/3 of approval, which means 20% or 20 votes of the 38 need to be passed along. So it's not like they're trying to get players,
though, side.
Well, so there's 38. I'll just read the Eno Saris.
We did the math. We don't know if we did it well or correctly.
38 votes in total in the players union, 30 team reps, and 8 on the executive board. So right now, if the board is against, they need 2/3 of the players rep to vote for the proposal for it to pass. Player reps are talking to their teams to determine their vote. So the way that I understand it, I think the White Sox, the players union needs 20 of those 38 votes to pass, and I think it's all 30 teams, right? Or no, it's all 30 teams are represented by one player. Lucas Giolito represents the White Sox, and they'll have a team vote too. Like the White Sox as a team will send in a vote to Lucas, and then he will give their vote. The Mets are one of the teams that are apparently snagging this whole deal up, but right now it felt the closest they were, and now it just feels like we're getting further and further away. So I feel pretty beaten up, to be honest, about this whole thing. I'm ready for baseball. I don't know about you guys. Herb?
Very much so. Of course it's the Mets. I mean, go back to the Family Guy things, like opening day and the season starts and the season's over. Same thing. The goddamn Mets. Like, yes, I understand the players want to test this deadline, and these deadlines are all ridiculous. Hey, guys, if you don't sign by this deadline, we're going to cancel these games. If you don't sign by that deadline, we're going to cancel those games. Oh, actually, guys, we'll play 162. Cool. Sign by here. Sign by 2 o'clock. We'll play them all. We'll start playing on April 7th. All good. And while I said the owners had bad PR early, they're having excellent PR now because people are turning on the players. Last night, they were like, okay, players, they've acquiesced to what you wanted. Why aren't you signing? And today, the same thing. It's like, it's on the deadline. It's on the players to sign this thing. I guarantee there's people out here watching and listening like, why aren't the players signing that? It just seems like a fair deal. They want to play. Let's go. And they've done a great job of saying, hey, we've set these parameters and we've already pretty much agreed on most of the stuff. it's up to the players to accept what we've put out there.
Right, and Jeff Passan reported last night at 5:36 p.m. that the international draft became the lightest stumbling block in the CBA negotiations. But earlier today, before he was hacked, he said that they agreed on the international draft, that they would be having an international draft. So it seems like the biggest roadblock got out of the way, Vinny, but now we're back in this. I just feel very frustrated because it feels now finally, after the first 2 series were canceled, it feels now like the owners are truly arguing or negotiating in good faith. And now it feels like, the players, I don't really understand why they wouldn't take this deal. So I guess that's why the frustration's building. And you're not frustrated that you're not like getting closer and closer to that plane. I mean, again, it is cold in Chicago.
It's very cold.
It's very nice in Phoenix.
It's going to be good next week.
It's very nice in Glendale.
It's going to be like 50 next week.
But this is what always happens. Every time I go to spring training, that's what happens. Is that it's nice back in Chicago, and it's like, why couldn't I have done this a week and a half ago?
Right. You've covered an offseason before. Rumors are if this does get ratified, free agency would start tonight. I mean, what would you expect from that type of just craziness if everything just opened up with 3 weeks to get ramped up for the season starting apparently on April 7th if everything is agreed to?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of build off what you just said there, yeah, I've covered an offseason before. I've never covered an offseason like this one's going to be. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they say you're looking at a very, what I think is kind of like an NBA style free agency period all of a sudden, where it's like, as soon as the ball drops, as soon as the alarm goes off, it's off to the races, and these guys can do that. Because I really think, as we've been talking about for days now, your entire offseason, or much of it, is condensed into a couple of days. I mean, they're talking about players being able to report to spring training a day or two after the lockout is over. So think about what you've got to start doing from a coaching standpoint. You got to get all the front office stuff out of the way as quickly as possible. Obviously, the offseason is going to bleed into spring training. It has under normal circumstances in recent year. This year, there's no choice but for that to happen. And as we've talked about, there's a lot still left to do on Rick Hahn's to-do list, and he's going to have a very short window in which to do it. And not only that, he's going to have a bunch of other GMs, 29 of them, trying to make similarly quick moves.
Right, and we gave the MLB 10 minutes to figure this out, and it seems like nothing will happen as of yet. We will update you on the lockout if we hear more news, if there is a no, if there is a yes. Right now, it's a lot of reports that people are saying no, and that's currently being dragged down by the MLB's now inclusion that they want the MLBPA to drop their lawsuit stemming from the 2020 season about how that was handled, the delay of the season there, and just all the COVID stuff around there. The MLB now wants to just knock that out, get rid of that lawsuit, and that's opening up a whole different can of worms. So yay, baseball.
It's almost as if these two sides don't really like each other. No,
they don't, and we're getting to a point where Dick Durbin is calling people out and saying that we need to get rid of the antitrust exemption that baseball has. But I don't know what that would do. That's exactly what I think baseball needs, by the way, is government, right? Like let's make this real easy, nice and succinct. Let's bring in the U.S. federal government. Yay, that would make covering this a lot more fun. Let's go into something that is more fun. I loved watching Carlos Rodon pitch last year. I don't know about you guys. Right now, he's a free agent, signed in 2021 to a $3.3 one-year deal, wasn't really even guaranteed a spot in the rotation, won it in spring training, performed fantastic in his first start against Seattle on the road, and then his first home start, he throws a no-hitter, barely a perfect game, and then, all the way until July, he was their best pitcher, in my opinion. He hits a snag with his shoulder. He was a little up and down in August and September, not even fully healthy. We saw him a little bit in October. We see him reach 99 in Game 4 against Houston on the radar gun, which was, not showing in September. But right now, the Sox don't extend the qualifying offer, which was $18.4 million in the offseason. Carlos Rodon is currently a free agent. On most lists, he's probably 1 or 2 behind, where you rank Clayton Kershaw. So with everything right now, Vinny, you just wrote about this on allchgo.com. What's a Carlos Rodon reunion looking like? Are they going to bring back one of their best pitchers from last year, or does it seem like these two sides are finally splitting apart?
Well, I think, to give you the short answer first, I think it's probably unlikely that that's going to happen, but I think the why is very interesting, and I think it's worth a discussion that we're going to have here. And, you look at everything, not even extending the qualifying offer, you get the feeling that the White Sox know what they're dealing with. And certainly, Carlos Rodon, as excellent as he was last year, as much as he had put the significant injuries behind him, unfortunately for him, the health is still a headline. And right. I think we saw a tweet the other day from a national writer saying that, the Yankees had asked for the medical reports on Rodon before the lockout began. You know what? I bet every team has asked on the medical reports for Rodon, because you can't watch what happened to him down the stretch last year when he wasn't making it 4 innings in regular season starts. I remember that night he pitched in Detroit where things just were not good. And listen, I was there. The weather was not good in Detroit either that night. But and I mean he just kind of he couldn't throw anymore. And from that point on, it was how much are they going to be able to get out of Carlos Rodon the rest of the year? They're talking about spending weeks evaluating him, putting 10 days between every start he was making, and it was until the day before Game 4 that we knew he was even going to be able to starting to make that start for them in the ALDS, let alone how many innings is he going to give you? Is he going to be able to go out there at all?
Right. I mean, it was a relief just that he was on the playoff roster too.
It was surprising. We didn't know. And so that's the thing is, it was so great to watch Carlos Rodon kind of exercise those injury demons. And then by the end of the season, the health is a question again. Now, the White Sox know that better than anybody. Mm-hmm. They're the only ones that don't need those medical reports because it was their doctors that were taking care of him all season last year. And that, to me, is influential of that decision to not extend the qualifying offer. They weren't comfortable making an $18.5 million contract offer for 1 year of Carlos Rodon. And to be fair, you're looking now at national folks talking about Rodon as maybe a free agent who's going to sign quickly on the other end of the lockout. And it'll probably be a 1 year deal, they say, because it's a prove it type situation. Not just prove that you're healthy, but prove that last year wasn't a fluke from a performance standpoint either.
Right. Herb, I mean, you saw the performance all throughout his career as a Sox fan. 2021 was obviously a surprising result, but the talent was always there. The pedigree was there. He was a first-round pick. With the Sox looking at 2022, they're going to be losing one of the best pitchers in Carlos Rodon. I mean, how does that affect the rotation? And if they don't have Rodon in 2022, I mean, does that make them that much weaker where they need to then make a move? Does that extend them, or do you think the roster's fine as it is?
I think you can't have too many good starting pitchers or too many good pitchers at all. But Carlos Rodon, how he pitched until July was better than I think any White Sox fan could ever imagine when they picked him 3rd overall from NC State. Like that guy, that was a Cy Young Award winner. Mm-hmm. He was the best pitcher in the American League up until the All-Star break for me. The problem is all the rest, like injury history, going down the stretch. And I was encouraged when I saw that 99 on the gun. I was like, here we go, Carlos Rodon. And everybody was hyped. And then we saw the slowdown in that game itself. So, I don't think Carlos Rodon coming back is a great thing for the White Sox. It's time to move on. He's had a lot of injuries, and so you can't depend on, is that 2021 Carlos Rodon coming back? Even though the money might be, if he comes back for $3 million, sign him again, 100%. But Carlos is going to be highly coveted because most people out there probably think, I can catch lightning in a bottle. He'll be that guy early 2021. But I think for the White Sox, they need to move on. And yes, it's going to be hard to replace those innings, hard to replace that performance. But that's why Michael Kopech's there. Right. That's why Dallas Keuchel's there. Yes, he had a bad year in 2021, but his 2020 was solid. If that guy can show up, even a modicum of that guy could show up for Dallas Keuchel, I think the White Sox will be in a great position. Carlos Rodon, a great guy. Wife is his number one fan, but it's time for him to move on to the next thing and be wherever he's going to be on another team. And
just to mention, 7-year career for Rodon, 4 of those he went over 120 innings pitched, and the other ones he didn't even reach 70, the other 3. So, and one of those was the 2020 shortened year, but even then, he wasn't even looking effective. I mean, it took him all the way to February to get re-signed. I mean, he
barely
looked like
pitched. He barely pitched that year.
7 2/3.
He made what, two starts, and then was relegated to that very woeful bullpen performance there at the end of the year. But the rosters of the realities of the roster obviously have an impact on this decision making too. When you're talking about bringing back Rodon or signing any free agent pitcher of that kind of caliber, because listen, the White Sox starting rotation is full right now. It has 5 guys in it. And it doesn't mean that you can't make moves to better your team. If Rick Hahn wants to go down the path of signing a big-name pitcher or even bringing back Carlos Rodon, and he thinks it's worth going out there and trying to move Dallas Keuchel, then he can. But you need to find room for these guys. You say you can't have too many good pitchers. Boy, that's the truth. But you need jobs for all of them.
Yes.
You can't sign somebody. You can't sign somebody like Carlos Rodon and be like, "Oh, one of you 6 guys is going to have to be in AAA." Like that doesn't work that way. And if you're the only 2 options to do that to, in my opinion, are finding a way to move on from Keuchel, which would not be easy. He's a highly paid player with that in that last guaranteed year of his contract, or sacrificing the development of Michael Kopech. If you were to take this year away from him and send him back to the bullpen, you might not get starting pitcher Michael Kopech at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think too,
Hey,
like
Passan is Passan's announcing it here.
Oh,
at this
Passan's
point.
doing
We're gonna get it
so
for
we got
you
the
here.
real, we got the big guy.
What's
He's got
the
his
news,
account
Sean?
back. All right, here we go. Breaking. Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association have reached a tentative agreement on a new labor deal, sources tell ESPN. While it still needs to be ratified by both parties, that is expected to be a formality when it is. And then he's dramatic. He puts a colon and 2 spaces, as you can see on screen. Baseball is back, which we all love.
All right.
Let's go.
Sky Point.
I like how we're Sky pointing to Sky point to Jeff Passan, who was dead on Twitter for several hours earlier today.
Resurrected like Jesus.
Lawrence, I don't know
Let's
if you can actually pull up the tweets that he has below it. He makes a joke about it. He says, "And so am I. I'm also back." In reference.
There
to
you
it.
go. He's back.
And he also has some sweet NFTs if anyone is interested.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You don't think it's good?
Oh, what the hell?
It's annoying. It's annoying. I mean, can I not be annoyed by this?
Yes.
You delay opening day by what, 8 days now? Because now the tentative opening day will be on April 7th. You now have to cram in doubleheaders. You have canceled the first 2 series. Like, all of this could have been done if you didn't wait 43 days from December to January. You could have gotten this done well
fire
before.
over here.
Teams couldn't have been affected. You're still getting 162, and now you're just giving yourself a headache of a scheduling nightmare.
Sean,
Like, this is so frustrating.
You're not wrong, but also the thing that's been the source of your frustration for the last 3 months just ended.
Yes.
I know, but like, thankfully, like,
melts away.
It's been on me for 3 months. It's been a draining 3 months. I've been in my closet talking about this damn thing. All of these CBAs and pre-arb, bonus pools. I just want to see baseball happen.
And now you get to.
And now we
Like
get
you've
to.
been in your closet. You do your podcast, Locked on Sox,
there's
from your closet.
Some context could have been helpful there.
Hey, host of Locked on Sox. You can see me interview people from my closet if you want to check that out. But this is a much nicer studio, and I get to talk to my guys and Vinnie and Herb here. Let's take a quick break and let's jump into the MLB lockout talk right after. We got to talk about how the best way to support CHGO is, and that is by downloading the PointsBet app. Use the code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we will help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, live NBA same-game parlays. For the first time ever, build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. When you're watching the Warriors and Nuggets tonight, maybe the Nets and 76ers before you get into baseball season, you can use the PointsBet app and build your live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. And sign up is quick and easy. You can do it right on the PointsBet app just in seconds. So don't wait. Use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. I gave you guys a chance to get caught up on the lockout news. I saw you guys immediately pull out your phones.
Damn straight.
I'm going to go to you, Herb.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Baseball's back. You checked up on some of the news. Immediate thoughts. You happy? Relieved?
Could not be happier. Vinny gets to go to Arizona. I get to go to San Francisco on July 4th weekend and actually see the White Sox and Giants play.
There you go.
And this is the White Sox championship year. I don't give a damn. The White Sox are in championship contention. I feel sorry for Jeremy Haber. I feel sorry for Rick Hahn, what they have to go through the next couple of weeks, but get it done. Get it done, because this is the time where we're going to strike and where we're going to make this team a team that's just winning the AL Central to a team that's going to the World Series.
And this is more from Jeff Passan. Players can report to spring training camps as early as tomorrow. Opening day is expected to be April 7th, as Jesse Rogers first reported. Transactions unfreeze upon ratification, which is expected to come as early as today, meaning free agents can sign and trades can occur. So let's just wrap up this Carlos Rodon discussion because it's kind of, super relevant now. It might happen tonight. Carlos Rodon on the free agent market. Yankees was linked to them in the John Heyman report. That was one of the teams that was requesting medicals. If you have to place an idea, if Carlos Rodon was to get a number amount, like I feel that he would probably get more than 18.4 on the market. That's what the qualifying offer was worth. I mean, you see Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray's getting around 20.3. He's Cy Young. If it's for 1 year, like I understand there is that injury concern with him, but you did see the velocity come back in Game 4. He was able to give you 120 plus innings this year. Like I think that some team would take a 50-50 shot, especially if they're a competitor.
If you're one of the other 29 GMs in baseball and you see the White Sox have an exclusive opportunity to give him an $18.4 million contract offer, and they say, no thanks, I think you would say, well, that's probably for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
$18.4 million for a starting pitcher who pitched as well as he did,
who finished fifth in the Cy Young vote.
Who they know is, that's like, we're good.
They know better than anybody.
Isn't that weird that they didn't do that? Like, I don't know.
No.
He was fit.
It's not weird. It tells you what their thinking was.
I guess. But I'm also like, they gave me 3 months to think about this. I've been thinking and pondering. It's like, maybe they do know more than anybody, and maybe that's what they want everyone to think about. Like,
now,
I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to play mind games.
They also might not be in the market for a starting pitcher.
Right.
For an all-star starting pitcher, because they have 5 starting pitchers already.
And I don't know, too. Like, I mean, the big talk with Boris was that he wanted a multi-year deal. The Sox probably didn't want to give him that, which is totally understandable. But if it's a 1-year deal, especially with the 3 weeks that he's going to have to sign, I don't understand why the Sox wouldn't be in his market. Like, you would. I understand Dallas Keuchel's on the team, but you need the 5 best players in that rotation. Rodon's better than Keuchel. You know that. You've seen him for the past year.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
can you
Absolutely.
me right now that Carlos Rodon's going to have a better 2022 season than Dallas Keuchel?
If again, the biggest thing is if health, but I would rather take the 50-50 shot on Carlos Rodon's health than Dallas Keuchel.
Mark it down, Lawrence. Mark it down. Sean thinks that Rodon's going to be better than Keuchel this year.
Is that a hot take?
It's not a hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take.
Is he going to be?
Mark it down when I was right, Lawrence.
And in October, we come back to man, that Dallas Keuchel Cy Young Award season was excellent. Remember when you're so wrong about that, Sean?
Maybe.
Add another White Sox veteran to the list of the players that Sean can't
hates.
stand.
Yeah. But
Jose Abreu's number
we've
one,
already talked about we can't be rolling dice on this championship season. We don't know who Carlos Rodon is.
Out of the other 29 teams, the only team that's going to sign, the team that will sign him, is a competitor. So a team is going to add him to their team to
let him do it
to improve their World Series chances. Why wouldn't the White Sox do it? Though I want the White Sox World Series chances to improve. I think if Carlos Rodon's on the roster, their chances to win the World Series improve.
And that's perfectly valid. But I think there's just as good a chance.
There's just
as good a chance that Dallas Keuchel ends up having a better season than Carlos Rodon. And I'm not saying that will happen. I'm just saying it could happen.
For sure.
And if you're talking about dice rolls and minimizing the question marks, Carlos Rodon is a question mark. As good as he was last year, he's a question mark wherever he ends up, even if that's with the White Sox.
And the one thing you never have to worry about Dallas Keuchel is posting. He'll be out there every 5th. And availability is one of the best abilities.
Yeah.
Being there and pitching is a good thing. And the White Sox just sometimes need innings. Their offense is going to help Dallas Keuchel out sometimes. If Carlos Rodon is missing starts months, that's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough on the White Sox to go from what he's pitching and then go to Raylo. Raylo was good, but you don't want him to be starting every 5th. You can't be rolling dice like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a dice roll. You're only rolling the dice on the health. Like he was 5th in Cy Young. Right. If you want innings for the Sox, I understand the Keuchel argument because he will guarantee you 150 innings. It might be a 5+ ERA, and he might be getting taken out deep.
Wait, I'm sorry too. Did I miss the several years of Carlos Rodon's career before last year, where in addition to the health, it wasn't ideal results?
With Keuchel, I think you can make the argument it's age. It's just coming to an end at this point. His stuff is less effective.
Dead.
Where with Rodon,
like
you saw the changes because of of straight up, changes with Ethan Katz in his regimen, in his routine. You saw a pitcher, I think, actually blossom. I think Carlos Rodon turned into a true starting pitcher. I think he understood how to use his pitches in the right counts, how to put away players. I think that he had more confidence in his stuff than ever before. And I think a lot of that was to do with the connection that he had with Ethan Katz. I think especially the way that he was ramping up late in games too, it just felt like Rodon trusted himself. And I don't know if Keuchel has that. I mean, Keuchel needs to trust himself because he's got a vesting option for $2 million, can turn it from 18 to 20. Like, that's a good, that's a good motivation right there, absolutely, to get paid for Dallas Keuchel. But again, like, the White Sox are based off of the three true outcomes in strikeouts, walks, and home runs. And the only one that Dallas Keuchel is helping you out in that is walks, and he's going to let up, a decent amount of 3 walk per 9 last year, and home runs. I mean, he was getting hit all over the yard last year. Carlos Rodon fits better with the White Sox mantra of striking out people, dominating them with the fastball, dominating them with their breaking ball. I mean, two top 50 pitches in the MLB last year, according to pitch value, with this fastball and slider. I mean,
guarantee me that first half Carlos Rodon's coming back, I would be on the first thing. But even then, I mean, like, when he was less effective,
and I know it was like the Reds in September, he was still getting outs. He was still able to give you 5 innings of like 2-run ball.
I can't do that. I can't do that. I think Dallas Keuchel, as a fifth starter, is in his perfect role as right now. He'll probably be a 4.5 ERA. That's good. That's decent. Like a ERA plus that's over 100, not above it. And if he gets back to his ground balls, the White Sox defense has improved a little bit better.
He was 3rd in ground ball rate last year. It wasn't like it hasn't been.
No,
in the
but
top
I'm saying
MLB.
like more
like,
ground balls
than
the home runs that he gave up last year. Like in the 2020, he was dominant with like, what is it, 60% ground ball rate?
56% last year in 2022 or 2021.
Yeah, so like,
which was 3rd.
He gets back to that, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Now we'll move on now to the A's. Vinnie also had an article. We wrote about Carlos Rodon and the reuniting, and obviously that was a great topic. We got about 30 minutes out of that one. Also, I want to give a shout out to Danny Dubeck, who's my cousin. I see his name in there. He reached out and texted me saying we love our content. So thank you, Danny, for watching us and being in the chat here. But let's go to the Oakland A's. Vinny, you wrote about picking off the fire sale, the Tobias Funke fire sale from Arrested Development. Oh, God, we're having a fire, or God, there's a fire sale. Sorry to butcher that line. You like one main guy in this Oakland bunch that you wrote about. One main guy in the bullpen. Do you want to talk about him first? I mean, where do you want to go?
Let's put it this way. The A's are expected to go into fire sale mode. Right. The A's do this every so often where they decide we're going to get rid of all our good players and we're still going to be good somehow because we're the A's. That's what they do. They're expected to do it again. It could happen as soon as tonight if all this lockout business is cleared up. We will see. They have some very, very good players over there, chiefly their corner infielders. Matt Chapman is probably the best defensive third baseman in baseball, him and Nolan Arenado, and can hit a bunch of home runs too. Matt Olson has also a lot of power over there at first base. They've got a couple good starting pitchers that could be on the move, Chris Bassett, Sean Manaea, and you really look at that roster and you say, who do you got? You know what I mean, kind of thing. Of those 4 guys that I mentioned, I don't know how realistic it would be for the White Sox to end up with them. The White Sox have a third baseman. They have a first baseman. We just talked about how their starting rotation is crowded. Do you make room for someone the caliber of a Bassett or a Manaea? That's up to Rick Hahn, of course.
Can't make room for Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, those guys were healthy.
Sorry, I'm just being petty.
Jerk.
My bad.
You are being petty.
I mean, hey.
You're being a real Tom Petty over there.
Yeah, pom-poms over there.
I know that guy.
Yeah, good.
I know that reference.
That's mandatory. But there's another name that I think MLB trade rumors made a list of the guys who could be trade candidates after the lockout, and there was one in that bullpen, a guy Lou Trevino, right. not a sexy name perhaps to White Sox fans out there, but I am very much of the opinion that the White Sox could use another hand or two out there in the bullpen after all the guys that moved out of that bullpen from the end of last season to now, and I think a guy like that who could be part of your middle relief, part of your setup situation would be very valuable for them. And while fire sailing, as the A's are, you might be able to find him at a decent price, too.
And real quick, I want to give a shout-out to Elliot, who asked, has nobody told these guys the lockout is over? Elliot, I don't know if no one told you, but now free agents and trades can happen now that the lockout is over. So I think that's a lot more fun than, hey, what's the pre-arb bonus like?
Also,
come on, Elliot.
I'd like to say to Elliot, we did talk about it.
Yeah.
We did.
You're
Tune
just
in
like,
at
buddy.
2 p.m. Tune in at 2.
Somebody tell them. He's still
Yay!
coming. We found
Lockout's
out,
over.
Elliot. Thanks, buddy.
You missed. Sean was pissed the lockout's over, too.
I was already screaming.
He's mad about the lockout being over. He's mad that Dallas Keuchel's going to pitch.
Let's give Elliot his update.
He's too young for all this anger.
Let's give Elliot this update on the lockout. Jesse Rogers tweeting, 9-inning double headers are back.
Boo.
Regular extra inning rules return.
Boo.
And
Really?
that the man on second is a thing of the past.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually like that. That was great.
That's good. I like this. Is good. This is the best outcome of the lockout so far.
What,
really?
Getting rid of that?
Oh, yeah, I hated that.
Well, you like
so
let's break this up first, because I know you're a fan of 7-inning doubleheaders. Let's talk about that first.
So. Yeah.
7-inning doubleheaders versus doubleheaders. In the first week of the lockout, we're going to be having some doubleheaders that are going to be happening to make up some games. Yes, in the schedule to fit in the 162 within the October 3rd end date of the season. So we're going to see 9-game doubleheaders back. I liked the 7-game doubleheaders or 7-inning doubleheaders. Herb, what'd you think? Because I know Vinnie was a fan of them. What about you?
It's great. Like, if we're doing something unnatural,
so get rid of
them. Playing 2 games, we need to shorten the amount of time that the players, the fans, the people who cover the game are at the ballpark. Because I don't know if you know, baseball is a long, monotonous sport. Like, being at the ballpark for 10 hours is not great. It's not ideal. And no one's going to these games like, oh, I want to go to a doubleheader. No, it's tiring. I went to one doubleheader. It was like 3.5 hours. I left before the second one started because I was like, this is boring. I love the White Sox, but damn it, get the game over with. Give me some results.
Well, and Vinny, as a baseball beat writer, I don't think we have to tell you how long baseball doubleheaders can be.
Yes.
I mean, 10 innings or 10 hours long.
Especially when you're watching some of those, 2019 White Sox Royals games, White Sox Orioles. Yeah. Those doubleheaders we could have shortened up. Maybe down to like 3 innings apiece.
It's nicer when the White Sox are a little bit better.
And get it over with. Hell,
I liked the man on second gimmick outside of when it was taking place in Cincinnati in May with Tony putting Liam Hendricks out on third. And shout out to Elliot. Elliot was just joined late, so shout out to Elliot.
We love you, Elliot.
And Cheesy Sock says he loves to sit through doubleheaders. I mean, you just sound like a masochist, though.
I think the idea is that right now, with baseball being shut down for the last 3 months,
right? Well,
take anything you can get now.
I'll take 10 hours of baseball.
Imagine on a May afternoon, you're sitting there at 1:00 for a damn White Sox Guardians game
on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and then you gotta be there. Like, it's a split doubleheader, so 1:00 start the first one, and then the second one starts at 6:10. Yeah, that's a long ass day. A lot of money is going out of your pocket, and a lot of time is spent at a ball game. No, I'm good. Make them 7 innings.
I like Fred's comment here. Baseball is back now. I can get back to dreading TLR being the team's manager. I understand, Fred, but if that is my biggest problem right now, which now it is because the lockout is over, that's a good problem to have.
Fred's got to go listen to our Tony La Russa podcast.
Yeah, the
from
retrospective.
Monday. Yeah,
absolutely. We try to go in depth, and I'm just with Herb. Managers don't matter, and I was just getting upset at Tony La Russa because he's a figurehead. Yeah, I don't think they I mean
that much.
I predicted them to go 93 and 69. They went 93 and 69. It's like, I expected the team to do that. I can't really be too mad at the results. Let's now talk a little bit about I'm now all confused, Lawrence.
A's. We were talking about the A's.
We're talking about the A's, right. Let's talk about second base because Tony Kemp's an option there, but you also threw out the idea of Matt Chapman. Herb, we're talking about a World Series contender here. Matt Chapman, one of the better third basemen in the league. I know that it's a controversial opinion to move Yohan Moncada back to second base. Would you be in favor of that if you're getting a player of Matt Chapman's?
I already hit the button. Yes, deal. Yes, I mean, I don't give a damn if Yohan Moncada is uncomfortable at second. That's where you're going to be playing. That guy, Matt Chapman's better than you at the hot corner. Sorry, yo. If you can't hit at second, then you can't hit in the major leagues. I understand you had the bad year, but I place that more on you being a second-year player than you playing actually second base. Matt Chapman is the gold standard, as far as I'm concerned, at third base. So, no, there's going to be no consternation, no Matt Chapman moving to second base or a shortstop. Yohan,
I was joking about shortstop.
Enjoy yourself at second base. If you need to work out your feelings, cool. Do it. But know that you're going to be there when we start playing baseball if we get Matt Chapman. Come on now.
Yeah, and Moncada obviously was moved away from second base for a reason. What was Rick Hahn's thinking and explanation while they've been making that move to Moncada? Steve Stone's talked about how Moncada's just more comfortable at third base. What have you heard from the Sox on that move and if Moncada would be even movable? Because if you do get Chapman here, you're upgrading 2 positions in a way. Yohan Moncada is better than the Yuri Garcia. I could say that. And that's not like Dallas Keuchel over Carlos Rodon take.
Rick Hahn was asked about Moncada maybe going to second base or some other position back in November at the GM meetings, and he said, never say never, which I'm sure gave some people some hope that it was still possible, but he pointed to the unlikeliness of that, and I think most of that stems from the fact that, and any discussion of a trade for Chapman or the acquisition of any other very good third baseman would be that the White Sox don't need a very good third baseman because they have a very good third baseman. Again, Matt Chapman is the kind of a player that you make room for. I would agree with that. He is tremendous. But Yoán Moncada is also tremendous defensively, in particular at third base.
Correct.
One thing you do not need to upgrade is your defense at third base right now if you're the White Sox. Now, Matt Chapman, swings a nice bat, and we talked the other day about how, maybe the need isn't a specific position, but just a bat to help improve that lineup. If that's the way they want to go, then they'll figure out how to do it. But Yoán Moncada has benefited greatly from moving over to third base. He was asked about it in recent years. He thinks of himself as a third baseman. Go all the way back to Ricky Renteria when we would talk to him about Yoán moving over to third base. And he said not only did it improve did Moncada improve defensively, because you'll remember it's when he was at second base, a lot of errors that year, was not very good defensively. It improved him offensively. The mindset that he was carrying into playing third base every day was a mindset that he was taking with him to the plate, and it was helping him there as well. So I think such a hot topic this offseason has been how to get the maximum Yoán Moncada. I really think how to get the maximum Yoán Moncada is to have him play third base.
Yeah, and we've seen results before. The power obviously has been zapped out in 2020 and 2021, but still, there's a lot of good peripherals with Moncada. He still has a good eye. He's still hitting the ball hard. It seems like he's still on the come up. I really wouldn't be too worried about Moncada in 2022, especially third base. He's very solid there. They're above average defensively at shortstop, third base, catcher at times with Yasmani Grandal. When we go to the backup catcher, it gets a little bit iffy. But those are some of the more solid positions there. I don't know if I really want to tinker with those.
Well, and one last point on that too is trading for Matt Chapman is a lot different than signing, for example, Chris Bryant. I know we talk about Chris Bryant and his versatility and his ability to play a position that the White Sox need in right field. Perfect. But let's say, for example, he was just a third baseman still. Signing Chris Bryant and trading for Matt Chapman are two very different things in terms of cost, and you've got to remember that you're going to have to give up a lot to get Matt Chapman, and that could wreck some of the White Sox additional plans. You don't know what the ripple effects of that are. It shouldn't dissuade the front office from making that kind of a splashy trade, but when you're set at third base, you don't need to add more to your to-do list.
Yeah, I agree. And don't think of my Yoán Moncada moving to second as a thing about him. He had COVID in 2020. I don't know if he's still feeling the effects of that. I don't know. He's a young cat. We don't know about this disease. But I think being 2 years removed from that will help him bring the power back. Remember, he was hitting a triple and then scored a run in Cleveland in 2020 and exhausted. Absolutely down for the count. I think being that far removed from a disease that we don't know about will help him out, and his bat will return. His power will return. He'll be the guy that most White Sox fans think of him to be, and his progression will continue to go up.
And with the lockout ending, we got a lot of moves to make. The Sox still need to make upgrades, and we'll talk about that just after we mention our great sponsor at PointsBet. And it's now time for our pick of the week, presented by PointsBet. You can download the app today. Sign up in just minutes from start to finish, all from your phone. You could also use code CHGO when you sign up. If you have a $50 or more first dollar deposit and use code CHGO, you will get a free membership to CHGO, and you will get a free shirt along with that membership, along with the great content that we have on our website, along with access to the CHGO Lounge. The pick of the night for the PointsBet pick of the night is going to be Patrick Kane, anytime goal scorer in the Blackhawks and the I'm blanking
Bruins.
on the Bruins. Thank you. The Bruins game. He's got 18 career points in 20 games against the Bruins. He's got
in the set.
17. Yes, you are. He's got 17 points in the past 7 games, and if he's got more than 4 shots in a game, very recently that's been turned into goals. So I really like Patrick Kane on the money line. That is your pick of the week, presented by PointsBet. Again, use code CHGO to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000 when you sign up. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just live your bet life. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. And we mentioned it before. This is the CHGO studio. And if you want to become a member of CHGO, you could sign up at allchgo.com. You will get access to our great written content. Some of it's going to be behind a paywall soon, so you want to get that access and that membership soon so you don't miss out on Vinnie's great writing. The podcast, the live show, and the post games will always be free, but with the membership, you'll get access to that great written content, and you'll get membership into the CHGO Lounge, where all of us are always hanging out and chatting with our great members from allchgo.com. Now, we have a super chat. Hey, Corey is the first ever super chat. Shout out to Corey. Thank you for the super chat, Corey, and we'll go into this first. We're going to talk about what trades we want to make, what trades we'd like to see for the White Sox. We'll play GM for a day here. We put some trade packages together for you guys. But Corey's super chat says, what would it take to get Nick Castellanos out of Cincy? He's a free agent. He's available. Herb, you like him.
Money. That's it. Just pay the man money. Like, if Scott Boras is saying, hey, you need to pay him $25-30 million, and if the White Sox feel that Nick Castellanos will be good in the future and be worth that $25-30 million, they should sign him. Now, I've been on record saying the White Sox are fine at right field. They can get away with what they have right now in right field, but I'm a huge Nick Castellanos fan. Besides the whole Tom Brenneman thing and that being brought up, that whole thing every time, oh, man, I love that. But he's a quality individual. He killed and tormented the White Sox in his last couple of years in Detroit. And if he comes here, he understands the division. He's becoming a masher. He's not great of a fielder, so the designated hitter spot is available. Mm-hmm. I'm all down for Nick Castellanos coming to the White Sox. But like Vinnie said earlier, there's going to be 29, probably 28 other teams vying for his services.
Not the Reds, you're saying.
Yeah, I think the Reds are out.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Cleveland's going to be in on him. I don't think Pittsburgh. So maybe like 27
Probably the
teams.
A's won't be.
Yeah, the A's won't
so
be.
let's
They're
go
on
down
the
to
fire
20
sale.
teams, and Rick Hahn and Jeremy Haber will be battling those guys for Nick Castellanos' services.
And Tooch is saying, so we should hear that Sox get Castellanos by the end of the day, right? I don't think that Castellanos will be their move.
We will do another show if Castellanos gets signed. I don't care what
Herb
time.
Will be solo hosting.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Herb.
I will do another show.
No, I'm kidding.
Maybe also producing. I don't know.
Yeah,
and
100%.
maybe
I'll be
producing.
doing it
It's
from
just
my
going to
house.
be a
Got it on
live
his
stream
resume.
off his phone. That's all it's going to
I
be.
will drive to Courtney's mom's house and do it from her bathroom, like I did with Dallas Keuchel. I would do it twice because he's much better than Dallas Keuchel.
It worked out in the first year, too. And just real quick, I think that, Castellanos, the market looks to be around, like, for hitters like that, maybe 15 a year. I think that he's one of the guys that might sign later, too, like Rodon. I think needs to get into camp. I think, especially with his injury history, he wants probably to get a contract pretty
You said
fast.
15 for Castellanos?
$15 million a year?
That'll be
15?
higher than that. Yeah.
Oh, no,
Castellanos,
that's-
you got to remember,
Well, I
Castellanos
would pay
opted
him
out.
$15 million.
What did he opt out of?
Castellanos opted out of that contract with the Reds, so he's going to be getting a raise from that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Was it at?
Yeah, he
15?
signed a 4-year deal, and he had opt-outs last year and this year, and he's like, I'm gone. I need to be out.
Then that kind of play. I was wrong on the money. I should never say throw out the money there, I guess. But at least playing into that, though, I mean, he opted out looking for more money. I think that he might be a guy that does wait. So I don't know if Castellanos is going to be one of the first names to go. I think that Rodon is probably likely to be one of those first names to go, just because I think getting into a camp will be big for him, and I think teams would want to see him as soon as they possibly can and get him working out and stretched out and ready for a season, because turning him around after that shoulder stuff was tough. Castellanos was 4 for $64 million, so that's anyone good at math? $16 million a year.
The link right there. This is
I guess $16 million a year. So yeah, he definitely wouldn't take 15. But regardless, let's now go into our next topic. White Sox GM for a day. We all put together a trade package, and we're going to go to Vinnie first because we talked about the Oakland fire sale, and you included the Oakland A's in your trade. We'll go to Vinnie's first. Why don't you take us through the trade?
I went wild, guys. I know you guys got some deals coming up. I went wild, so we're going crazy leading out of the box here. This is a 3-team deal. The Sox, the Yankees, the A's, and I call it the kill 3 birds with 1 stone trade because it would allow the White Sox to get themselves a second baseman, get themselves some bullpen help, and trade Craig Kimbrell. So there you go. In this deal, for those who are listening and not watching and can't see this wonderful graphic that Lawrence has whipped up, the White Sox in this deal would get Gleyber Torres from the Yankees to play second base, get the aforementioned Lou Trevino to pitch out of the bullpen. Going to the Yankees, it's Craig Kimbrell as well as maybe, I don't know, maybe a little cash with that too, we'd have to see. And Sean Manaea, one of the big starting pitchers that the A's have to offer up. The A's get some guys for the future. You're talking about Gavin Sheets from the White Sox. I threw Norge Vera in there as a guy who is a long-term piece, obviously just joined the White Sox organization within the last couple of years, but could maybe sweeten that deal there. And one of the Yankees' many top infield prospects, Oswaldo Cabrera, they have a glut of young infielders in their minor league system, so they could trade from a position of strength right there. I think it works out great for the White Sox. And I think the Yankees, as I bump the mic here, I think the Yankees would maybe like Kimbrel. Zach Britton just underwent Tommy John surgery, so they could be looking for to kind of keep the status quo at the back end of what's been a very good bullpen the last few years. But the big thing right there, the headline is White Sox get their second baseman, and they'd get him for the next 3 years.
And I like Manaea, too. They've been struggling with starting pitching, finding some consistency. They took a shot on James Paxton. That really didn't work out. Luis Severino's been up and down and out. He really hasn't been working. And Manaea, although he had a shortened 2019, was there healthy for 2020 and was healthy and good in 2021. So that would definitely be an interesting name. What do you think of getting Gleyber Torres on the south side?
I've seen my trade and I've seen your trade. Yeah, like Vinnie won already. Like before we like he did. Firstly, he did a 3-team trade. Like he did it, and that deal could actually be made. Wait until you see mine. Like look at that. Like that makes the White Sox much better. Like Gleyber Torres, I know he's had a couple bad years, but I think being reunited, as we talked about with his guy Aloy, will spark something. Yeah,
Besties.
And he
brothers
will be,
from the Cubs
and it's
organization.
another thing too. It's another. He's going to be the 7th or 8th hitter. He's not the spotlight of New York won't be put on him. And people in Chicago will be like, yeah, it's good to have him. And he's a former Cub, too. That also would be nice for the White Sox and their fans to just stick it into the Cubs and say, hey, we got your guy here. We got Cease here. We got Aloy here. Man.
Oh, then they go sign Chris Bryant to play right field. How about that?
Jeez.
And I think the deal that Vinny's making
And then
is
Lou
also
Trevino, too. Ooh-wee.
right. Lou Trevino is just a sweetener on that one, but it's a pretty good sweetener. You like Lou Trevino? Huh?
He's
I
the
like Lou
star
Trevino.
of the deal for you, right?
I've been talking up Lou Trevino to these guys. He better be good whatever team he plays for next year.
And I also like that deal, too. I mean, that deal is probably, I think you're saying, dependent on if the Yankees go out and sign Correa, if they sign Trevor Story.
I'm glad you brought that up because,
there.
I think that Gleyber Torres seems like a realistic possibility for a team that's looking for a middle infielder, chiefly because the Yankees have been so reported to be so interested in one of the top free agent shortstops remaining. And if they can go ahead and sign that, they got a bunch of other versatile guys on their infield. Torres becomes expendable.
And we're confusing a couple people. Our guy Elliot, who came in late. My bad, Elliot. Castellanos did opt out, so he is a free agent. That's what Herb and Vinny were saying. I said that he would sign for around $15 million as a free agent, but he just opted out of a $16 million a year contract, so I don't think he'd sign for $15 million. Maybe he's looking for about 18. So I was just wrong on that, but Castellanos is a free agent. He will be on the market once the market opens up tonight, and then also Castellanos or Bryant would be much more valuable than Chapman, which position-wise, I would agree, at least for Bryant, because he can play right field, he can play left field, he can play third base, he can play first base. But Castellanos, can't play the field.
They're more valuable to the White Sox than
Yes.
Chapman is. I think is what I would agree with there, because if you still have the question mark, if you want to call it that, in right field and at DH, if you go ahead and address second base in any way, or if that's from moving somebody to make room for Chapman. So if the idea being is if it comes down to just a discussion between those 2 or 3 guys, yeah, because the White Sox could more use a right fielder / DH than they could a third baseman right now.
Yeah, I just think that Castellanos in right field just seems dangerous, especially
with Andrew Vaughn there.
I would be happy with Andrew
well,
Vaughn
then
just
that
because
is
he's
an
younger.
option.
I like his IQ. I think that again, like he didn't take too many risks out in the field last year, but he was at least on most balls. So is he going to make diving plays left and right? He made a couple, but most of it he's going to be a very safe and secure a fielder out there. He's going to try to get to every single ball. Where Castellanos, he seems lost. He's played third, failed there, played first, failed there, played left, right, failed. I think that he is a perfect DH. And honestly, his value is probably going to go up too, just because now you do have 30 DHs in the MLB.
I cannot wait to make fun of Herb's trade.
It's coming. We're about to get wacky.
All right, Herbie, take us through your wacky trade.
This is on the caveat of the Dodgers are looking to upgrade at first base. So they're in the Freddie Freeman sweepstakes. So they need to get rid of players. So
they have Freddie Freeman in this scenario.
In this scenario.
Gotcha.
So Max Muncy had an elbow injury going into the playoffs. Didn't play in the playoffs all last year. He's on, I think, the second to last year of his contract, which is very nice. He can play multiple positions for the White Sox. I know you're saying he's a first baseman, but he played a lot of second base for the Dodgers. That fills that need for the White Sox. Max Muncy playing second base for them. And then the second name I have is Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger, former MVP, has fallen off the table. He's only 25 years old, so the Dodgers might be looking to give him a couple more chances, but he's at the end of his thing. He's making $18 million this year for a guy that was really, really horrible. And, I think he was 54 OPS plus last year. He could not see the ball. The reason why I say those two guys, because the Dodgers are already getting, in my scenario, Freddie Freeman, and they have a glut of outfielders and infielders in their minor league system. So they would be willing to give these guys up because that gets them off the payroll. I think that's about $26 million in payroll. They're close to the proposed CBT threshold, and so you would have a little bit more money to work with there with Freddie Freeman and other free agents you need to go and pick up. The White Sox would give up Westcath, who they picked up last year. He's the Arizona Player of the Year out of high school. They drafted him in the second round. He's a third baseman. They project him as a third baseman. He plays shortstop in Arizona. Jake Berger, who saw a cup of coffee here with the White Sox, you know his story of all the injuries he had to battle through. He's still relatively young in the game. And then Gavin Sheets can be that lefty stick that they're missing from both Max Muncy and Cody Bellinger. I say it's far-fetched, but the Dodgers are looking for a championship. They cannot go another year and say, is Cody Bellinger really the MVP, or is that guy who just fell off the table? What happened in that year? And 2020 wasn't great either. And I think when they won the World Series, what my speculation is after he hit a home run, he did this shoulder bump with his teammate and pretty much dislocated either his shoulder or his pectoral, and he hasn't been the same since.
So you want to trade for him?
I think no, but I think that the Dodgers can't risk that he's going to return to form of MVP form.
Can the White Sox?
The White Sox have plenty.
Aren't the White Sox trying to win the World Series?
They are, but I think they can try to think, hey, we can recapture, and this is the type of the White Sox move they can do. We can recapture some MVP form from Cody Bellinger, even if he doesn't get to that level. Him being all right, like they kind of did with Dallas Keuchel in 2020, is fine for the White Sox. And then Max Muncy is going to probably miss a month of the season because he has the Tommy John. He didn't have the Tommy John surgery, but he has the ulnar collateral ligament damage. So him playing either second base or designated hitter for the White Sox would work out. For the Dodgers, they can't wait for him to return for the regular season because they have a lot of people, McKinstry, a bunch of people in the outfield and first base that they don't really need Max Muncy. And secondly, Max Muncy, I can say he's mad, he's bad. He's Max Muncy.
That's a Beastie Boys reference, right?
No, it's Max Maxon.
Maxon.
Yeah, Max Maxon,
Sean.
Mitsubishi. Come on.
There you go. It's only Brass Monkey, right? All right. Well,
Make fun of it, guys. Go ahead. Make fun of my deal.
If Max Muncy and Cody Bellinger came off the books for the Dodgers, they go from $214 million to $184 million. That's without this Freddie Freeman signing. So they'd gain $30 million in cap room.
That's half the reason why I'm thinking is that they're not as good as they used to be.
The issue is
they get relief.
The issue is that Jake Berger, who you're trading, is 25, and then Gavin Sheets is 25 as well. Cody Bellinger is only 1 year older than them and has already proven that he could be an MVP type player. Where Gavin Sheets and Jake Berger haven't even had full seasons in the MLB.
The White Sox in this trade get a guy who is the MVP 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And
who's 26.
And a starting player for a championship team.
But hurt.
Who was worth $5 WAR last year.
And the Dodgers get a high school third baseman and Gavin Sheets.
Yes.
Okay.
What is the disrespect for Jake Berger, man?
I don't have disrespect for him. I think if he
just
was
unproven, he's green.
If he was capable of playing for a championship team, he'd be on the White Sox right now.
How about this? I just put instead of all the three of those guys, put Andrew Vaughn in there. I didn't want to put
that's
Andrew
much
Vaughn
different.
in there.
That's
I don't want to put
different.
Andrew Vaughn there.
Yeah.
If I want to put Andrew Vaughn in there, I think the White Sox get the worst of that deal.
I don't know.
I don't know if they get
would
the
say
worst of
they
it.
would
We
not.
think that Andrew Vaughn is going to be an elite hitter, right?
So you're saying Vaughn, Sheets?
No, just Vaughn for those two guys.
No way.
No.
No?
You need some more. Yeah.
Vaughn.
You need a lot more.
Okay.
Cody Bellinger was an MVP. I think
Was.
we need to mention that again.
Was
Recently.
3 years ago.
We're not
Now,
talking
you
Miguel
guys-
Cabrera here.
You guys gonna bring up?
Dallas Keuchel was a Cy Young years ago, yet you guys want to keep him. Carlos Rodon just
But he
recently
showed
was
in
top
2020.
5 in the Cy Young.
Yeah, but that's
Recently.
injury.
More recently,
Dallas-
Carlos Rodon was better.
Okay, by 1 year.
and
Dallas
hurt.
Keuchel was a top 5 Cy Young finisher in 2020.
Should we trade him? Should we trade Dallas Keuchel? Let's get to my trade. Let's get to my trade. Let's trade Dallas Keuchel.
What a segue.
There we go.
There
All right, here's my trade. White Sox try to upgrade their second base position with Tommy La Stella. His contract is $5 million this year and $11 million next year. The Giants get Dallas Keuchel. He has $18 million this year. He also can get up to, he has a player option next year, or I think it's just an option. I'm not sure if it's player or team. I'll have to look that up, and I'll get that for you.
It's a club.
It is a club option worth $18 million, and if he hits over 160 innings, that goes up to $20 million. So La Stella, you gain $13 million this year off the books for the White Sox, and then you gain about, depending if that escalator hits, about $8 million in 2023. The thing, though, is the Giants still need pitching. They lost a lot of pitching this offseason. They were able to still maintain Logan Webb and Anthony DeScalfani. They lost Cueto, though, and they lost Kevin Gausman. I do think that the Giants need to fill out that rotation. You saw how they performed last year, 170 wins in the NL West. They're looking for that fifth starter.
It's a lot of
107, my bad.
That would be a record.
That is a record. 107 wins for the Giants last year. They're looking to fill out that rotation. And if there's anywhere that Dallas Keuchel can thrive, it is in Oracle. It is in San Francisco. Again, the only thing that was working for him last year, 56% ground ball rate. The Giants are 11th last year in defensive runs saved, so I think you're going to be upgrading the defense. You're going to be upgrading the park that he plays in. He's going to be a better fit for that team, and if you're looking for 160 innings for a playoff team, I think that Dallas Keuchel does still have value, just not as much value as Carlos Rodon, and you free up some money to put towards Carlos Rodon to fill out that rotation. Again, going back to my point just a little bit earlier, this team is built off the three outcomes, strikeout, walks, and home runs. I just think that Keuchel hurts you in those three. He doesn't really strike out anybody. His walks are going up. He's losing a little bit of his control, and he's giving up home runs. He's getting hit hard. Where Rodon, he's able to blow past people. He's able to get those strikeouts. The control is down. I think that working with Ethan Katz and that velocity belt really started to get things more in line. The mechanics were a little bit more fluid. I just think that they unlocked something with Carlos Rodon, and I think that they know that. I at least know that. I hope they know that. I'm trying to make room for Carlos Rodon with this trade, and you upgrade second base, or at least get a lefty in Tommy La Stella who can play first, third, and second.
I think the only way that trade is beneficial for the White Sox is if they've already made that starting pitching addition and they need to get rid of a starting pitcher.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think if they reach that point, that will obviously be a good problem to have, right? Mm-hmm. Because it means they'll have signed a good pitcher. But it would give them the upgrade at second base that they're looking for. Now, in a vacuum, if you do that trade as your second base trade,
It's tough.
and then you make it so you have to go get more pitching,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's quite as beneficial. But if it's after the fact, then it could work for them.
Just like your deals, it's dependent on if Frederick Freeman signs with the Dodgers, and it's dependent on if the
Yankees get Trevor
sign
Story.
Trevor Story or Carlos Correa. But I just think that freeing up cap space is huge for the Sox. They need to add to this team. I think Dallas Keuchel detracts from what they need, and I think they need a bullpen arm. I think Colin McHugh's an interesting name because if we're talking about length, he started before. He was great with the Rays out of the bullpen. I really like him. He'd be around like $8 or $9 million. The same for Tepera. If you like Tepera, I like McHugh just a little bit more. If they're able to go out and sign Rodon, I think that their rotation is a World Series rotation in Kopech, Rodon, Giolito, Cease, and Lynn. The only question I have about it is health. Can Kopech stay healthy? Can Rodon stay healthy? But if they are, I don't think you can find a better 1 through 5 pitching wise in the MLB. And that's how the Sox won in 05. I know that's, kind of repeat and rinse and repeat there, but that is a deadly 5 starters right there. And I think that Keuchel could be valuable to a team. And that's still a playoff team. He still has some value. He's still able to get ground balls. And that's a park where, home runs are very, very hard to come by.
Yeah, the marine layer is heavy there in the afternoon and late nights. So, yeah, that's good. You just wanted to have Carlos Rodon on the White Sox, and so you made a trade for that to happen.
I think that this team is better. I do hate Dallas Keuchel. We're going to wrap it up. I just want to ask Lawrence for one more thing. There is one thing. The Tooch Passon is saying they're going to put ads on the jerseys like NBA, and gives MLB an option to ban the shift by 2023. So right now in 2022, you are looking at baseball returning on April 7th, spring training returning on March 17th or 18th. That is still being worked out. Spring training games. Yes, spring training games coming back on March 17th and March 18th. We are going to have players reporting as early as tomorrow. Vinnie might be there tomorrow as well. We might have Vinnie zooming in from Arizona. Baseball is back. We're excited to talk to you, and that's why we're talking about these moves that the White Sox can make. 2022 is a huge year for the Sox, and they need to capitalize, and we will have all the coverage of all the moves that they make in the next 3 weeks in spring training, whether it be a trade, whether it be a free agent, whether it be Cody Bellinger coming to the South Side, Gleyber Torres coming to the South Side,
Max Muncy
or
too.
Dallas Keuchel going to the Bay. Max Muncy too. Dallas Keuchel going to the Bay. We will have you covered here on CHGO, the White Sox podcast. I'm Sean Anderson for Herb Lawrence, for Vinnie Duber. Thank you so much for watching. Baseball is back, and we will talk to you tomorrow.